I think the problem is not whether or not women are space marines. I think the problem is that they're completely ignoring like 30 years of established law and they're not giving a reason. And then they go out and say, oh yeah, but women has always been space marine. It has always been like this. You guys are just stupid. Um, and if they did it probably, so one of the things about the Warhammer 40k universe is that after the heresy and the rebellion 10,000 years earlier in the year 30,000, a lot of the technology has been lost because of the civil war. So a lot of the technology that was being developed and researched back then is no longer available, and we don't have the same resources and the same geniuses in this time to evolve it again. And the Emperor has been lost, which is like who was the main driver behind the Imperium. All of the Primax have been lost, which was his children, which was like the second greatest minds in the world. So now you just have these essentially babies trying to understand how quantum physics works, and that's not gonna work. So there's been no scientific advancement in the last 10,000 years. At best, they're trying to get back to the glory days, but they don't have the same like demigods and gods guiding them. So even if they came out with a reason like, oh, but that's because we discovered we could do this, and therefore now we can also have women, then you're essentially saying the God Emperor who created all Space Marines and the Primarchs and who drove humanity to conquer the stars, he was too stupid to figure out how to do it with women. But this random dude who can barely put on his pants, he actually knows how to do it. It's really hard to have a good law reason for this to happen. And you have entire armies in Warhammer 40,000, which is only women. You have women-only armies already. So you don't really need to force Space Marines to be women to have women inclusion. And as you can see, even in this game, one of the prominent characters and one of the leaders of these humans is a very strong woman, and who's a very believable strong woman. And she's written very well. But if you want, like, you can have Sisters of Battle, for example. This is an entire army only of women, and they're loyal to the God Emperor, and they're like, I remember them as a kind of like Inquisition, but they are badass gals, and they will come and fuck you up, and they are as close as you get to female Space Marines. Some of the fan art is badass. So you have this inclusion and you have this army, and they're already really cool. You have something else as well. Then you also have like, a lot of the other races include women, such as the Elders. We have one more Imperial, like, and the Imperial Guards, they have female characters as well, lore-wise. Then you have female Warhammer 40k armies. What is the other one called? So, is the only one? Remember there being one more. So the Warhammer 40k fan base is super fucking toxic. Oh, I can fly now. I didn't see that. That shouldn't. So I'm very mixed on the topic because to me it's not a problem to have female Space Marines. I wouldn't care. It might be super cool. What I care about is they're shitting on the established law. And I don't think that's nice. And then a lot of the fan base is just very misogynist and super hateful people. And I think that's a huge shame and completely unnecessary. A lot of the people are also like normal human beings. But they are not the verbal minority. And the Warhammer 40k fan base is known to be very extreme. And most people who play Warhammer 40k, I don't know if this works. A lot of people who play Warhammer 40k, they see the Imperium as like the good guys, and this is what we should strive to be. When it was made as a satire of like a fascist empire, and a lot of the point in Warhammer 40k is that there's no good guys. We are all equally bad in different ways. I didn't listen to you guys, I'm sorry. I was talking. Supposed to go up there, maybe? So the fan base is definitely taking it way too hard. Like, like including female characters is not a problem. It has been done, but it also sucks that you just shit on 30 years established lore. And if including female characters is more important to you than all of the lore that has been established since the beginning, then you're also not really the right person to represent the community, because you don't really care about the lore and you don't care about the background. You just care about including like people. I think we saw the same thing in Rings of Power, where they just race swapped a lot of things, and it wasn't necessarily the best actors who got the positions, but it was the actor with the right skin colors, and they retconned a lot of the elf descriptions, talking about how they were essentially pale of skin and they were the whitest motherfuckers to ever walk this earth. And whether you agree and think that's good or not, that was just the law. And there wasn't a good reason to change that. And there was no explanation why it was done or anything like that. And whenever that's done well, nobody complains. Like, nobody fucking cared that Samuel L. Jackson, isn't that his name, that he played Nick Fury. That was a race swap. Nick Fury has always been a white dude, but nobody gave a shit that suddenly it was a black dude playing him, because he played him fucking fantastic. Like, he's a great character, he's a great actor. And therefore people don't give a shit. But people cry and complain whenever it's done poorly. So it's never really the problem that it's done. The problem is that it's done like shit. And I think that's what most, like, that's what a lot of these shows do nowadays. They don't really care about doing it properly, or take their time to do it in a right way, or think about what the fuck they're doing. They think the goal justifies the means. And I think it's so, it's such a big problem in my opinion, to what is it, say that you will get the role not because you're a good actor, but because you're black or because you're a woman or some bullshit like that. I think that's such a disservice to the struggles they're facing, and it's so dishonest, and it just turns more people against their cause than it's gonna help them. And I think even in Lord of the Rings, there's so much opportunity to do some really, really fucking cool colored characters like black, brown, whatever. And because you have the Haradrim, you have the entire essentially Middle East that we haven't explored in Lord of the Rings. So they could do whatever the fuck they wanted with it. And why, like, isn't it a very interesting story? Why is the Haradrim siding with Sauron? They're humans. Why are they not fighting against Sauron? What did Gondor do to them? You can have this whole redemption arc of like this suppressed, potentially suppressed evil who's choosing to team up with evil. Maybe because Gondor and Rohan mistreated them in the past or something like that. But they are not getting the support from the other human factions that they needed, and they're actually being oppressed or something like that. You could explore all of that with colored characters and get diversity into Rings of Power. But instead they just chose to put in some like non-white elves and so on and dwarves, which doesn't lore-wise make any sense. And I think that's really my problem. There was a million better ways of doing it, but they didn't have the creativity and they didn't have the understanding of the lore to do it properly. 2 seconds, chat. I will read your message after this one. It's a bit too intense. I would love a show to explore why is the Haradrim siding with Sauron, and how did that come about? What did Gondor do or not do to make that happen? I'm messing around with my hotkey so much. Wait, is that a Carnifex? Fuck me. We need to heal up here. Oh, I didn't. It's a problem. Okay, Chiron, you have that guy. And I will fuck up my hotkeys over here. Motherfucker. The whole debate. The problem with the whole debate is that it's very hard to differentiate between people giving valid criticisms with valid reason and people being racist, homophobic, misogynistic, or whatever when talking about these woke issues. And I completely agree with that. That is a huge problem, and it is completely right. I think a big problem, like a big reason for that problem, is also because you're not allowed to have these discussions. You're not allowed to say, I don't think that character should be black, I think he should be white, I think he should be something else. Because that's racist, apparently. You cannot disagree without being racist. That means you cannot have an open and honest discussion. When you cannot have that, you cannot get a good product. I think in the end, we all want a good product. I don't think anyone is actually happy, like watching a subpar show or a subpar movie where I just feel so forced.
Another one dead.
To die, he was so fucking annoying. I hate those snipers. This dude. Nice. I think I will just mostly stay range. Boom. There we go. Another dude that needs to die. Just practicing my aim for Targo. It's really cool I don't need to reload this gun. But I'm not used to that at all, so I keep trying to reload. I think we have a huge problem in today's society with we're not allowed to acknowledge our differences. Um, so one of the things I really like is like teasing around and playing around with my wife and talking about how she likes that because she's Korean or she has this preference and so on, and I have this preference because of my culture and how I was brought up and so on. We can have an honest conversation and we can tease each other like that. But that's not something you're allowed to do in a public space. And we're not allowed to acknowledge these differences. So I saw something about, so first of all medicine that, like, my understanding is that all medicine is tested on men. So we, as a rule of thumb, we don't actually know if the medicine we have works on women. Because I don't know if this is actually true, but what I've seen is that they find it hard to test medicine on women because of their change in hormones, like because of their period. Whereas men are more stable. So that's why all medicine are tested on men, because it's easier to get good results when you have a stable test group. And does that mean that we don't know if our medicine works on half of our population? Yep, but it gets better than that. In the West, it also means that we test all medicine on mostly white men. There has been studies showing that all medicine doesn't work equally on like on all different kind of people. So there are studies showing that some medicine works better on like people, for example, than other medicine. So that means if the doctor is not aware of this info and is not allowed to prescribe different medicine based on people's race without being called racist, then they don't get the best treatment they can get. And I think that's really messed up, that we would rather pretend we're all the same than ensure we have the care and attention and support that we need. I think in today's environment it is a very hard subject to broach without being called a racist. So you have to talk about it very carefully as well, which, yeah, I to some extent understand, and I also think it's dishonest and it's kind of bullshit. Let's poke him, let's finish him.
Seen us, Hulk.